Howdy ho.
Howdy.
Welcome to the Brinx, Hearse podcast. My name is Ryan McNeil.
Michael Freer.
And you know, Mikey, sometimes it feels good to be bad.
It does. It does.
And we did our top 10 fictional characters list. A lot of villains in there. A lot of anti-heroes in there.
Yeah.
And that sparked this idea to do today's list of the top 10 villains of all time.
Yep.
And we'll be looking at TV, movies, books, video games, whatever you want,
all
Mikey.
mediums of fiction.
Yes, all
Could
mediums
even be
of fiction.
commercials.
My dreams. That's what we're going to be looking at today.
I actually do have the
You say commercials?
the progressive woman.
The Geico Gecko.
The Geico Gecko.
That fucking piece of shit Geico
The Burger
Gecko.
King.
If you ever ate at Burger King, that king is a villain.
He is. Yeah. Or Ronald McDonald.
Yeah, he's I guess a villain too.
Well, are you dissing Burger King?
Yeah.
I love Burger King. Okay. Well, let's get into it. Fuck this guy.
They're both they're both villains to the sake of the health of Americans. Let's say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Ronald McDonald would be the bigger villain then, though. The Hamburglar.
Yeah.
How can we talk villain?
Oh my God, he's literally a criminal.
Bad stuff. Bad dudes.
Bad dudes. Really
but
bad dudes.
sometimes bad dudes are they have such a pull to them. And that's why we're here.
That's why we're here doing this list today. You got any honorable mentions?
My honorable mentions, I'll give it up for Lalo Salamanca, Light Yagami from Death Note, Anton Chigurh, the Green Goblin, Nurse Ratchet, Colonel Hans from, what's it called? Inglourious Basterds.
Oh, Inglourious Basterds, yeah.
And Dan Scott from One Tree Hill.
Which one was Dan Scott? Was he a real villain?
Yeah, he was like the dad of the two kids that was like an asshole the entire time.
Wow.
He honestly could have made the list. He's actually a really good character. He's the saving grace of the show.
Okay.
But I thought maybe it'd be a little too memey if I put him in there.
Hey, we'll do a whole separate video on Dan Scott.
Yes.
Dan Scott, a complete analysis.
Yeah. The analysis is in order.
All right, my honorable mentions, I got Catwoman, Penguin, Loki, Simon Gruber, Hannibal Lecter, Stinky Pete, Farquaad, Fairy Godmother, Regina George, Lotso Huggenbear, Palpatine, Kylo Ren, Voldemort, Calvin Candy from Django Unchained, Syndrome, Cruella de Vil, The Wicked Witch of the West, Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Jafar, Scar, and Buffalo Bill.
Wow, a lot.
Yeah, this was a very tough one to make. You texted me and said, like, this is tougher than I realized. And, like, mine was really tough to put together.
Mine was tougher in the other sense where I couldn't find enough guys that were, like...
Really?
That stuck out to me, yeah. I don't know why. I had a much harder time thinking about villains than I did characters. Like, just characters overall.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Ryan, I start off a lot of my lists. A lot of the lists. So, I'm going to pass it to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. My number 10, I have Bane.
I have Bane on there.
Oh, you also have him on your list. Oh, okay. So, we'll keep it brief. I love Bane. I obviously know mostly from Tom Hardy's interpretation, which is one of the best comic book villains of all time. And they get what they get so right, and that a lot of versions don't get right, is that yes, he's a big muscle-bound guy. He can defeat you physically. We see him break Batman's back. That's what makes him intimidating. But just as much, he can defeat you intellectually. He's smarter than everyone in Gotham. He only gets this far against Batman because he's just as smart as him.
Yeah.
So that's why Bane is always special because of that. And he always has a cool look no matter what the mask is. Well, no matter what the mask is, but at least in Dark Knight Rises, like there are so many ways it could have looked awful. But it looks so cool. It looks like it's actually like basically a part of him. It looks like he needs it to survive.
When Bane is done well, he really excels.
It's top tier stuff. So now hit me with your number 10.
My number 10 is Firelord Ozai from The Last Airbender.
Oh, okay. Was he on your fictional list as well?
No, that was his son Zuko.
Okay.
So we're talking about the dad. So the show is a span of 3 seasons, and it's all for this one goal. The Fire Lord is looking to take over the world. They got to stop him. So you don't really see him at all until the 3rd season. So it's just like this dark shadow that in the audience's mind. I mean, you've seen what he looks like, but like you don't really know him that well.
Okay.
He's just a menace Wow, Giancarlo Stanton's batting second today. Interesting.
Interesting.
And once you actually do get to him, you kind of realize he's like kind of just a guy, you know? He's not like that powerful. Like he's a skilled firebender, but he's only made that much of a threat because they use Sozin's Comet, which will, like when a comet comes around to the Earth, it buffs up the firebender's strength by like 10 times. And that was what made a real threat. And he gave Avatar Aang like nightmares continuously. And
Damn.
And yeah, he is what sparked Zuko's character arc. And I could have Zuko as a villain, but it just didn't fit for his character. But Firelord Ozai, great character.
I like that. My number 9, we're keeping it in the world of comic books. I have Magneto.
Ooh.
And I am most familiar with his version in the X-Men films, played by Ian McKellen and then Michael Fassbender. And I believe he's very good at making him a sympathetic villain, but someone who's clearly gone too far, which are almost always the best.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the very first scene of the first X-Men movie is showing his backstory, where he was literally in a concentration camp in Europe. And he comes to America, and he has this hatred for humans, which when you see what he's gone through, you're like, okay, I can kind of see where he's coming from.
Yeah.
Which is the point of every villain.
Broken villains are much better than just pure evil villains.
Yes. And sometimes a good, just pure evil is just someone you hate. Like, it could work, but these guys are all top tier.
Right.
And Magneto, obviously, he has the ability to control metal, which they always do in different ways, in creative ways, where it never really gets stale.
Yeah.
One gripe I do have in the third movie, Magneto is banding a bunch of mutants together to join his forces. And they have a hideout in the woods. You see the problem?
I suppose if they had a fire mutant, there would be an issue.
Because Magneto can control metal.
Oh.
And they meet up in the middle of the woods.
Okay, so like if someone were to like attack him there, he would have like no way to...
He'd be fucking useless.
Okay, I see your point. Yeah, he could use like the base as a threat. Like if it's just all metal, you could be like, I could just close this all on you if you like cross me or something like that.
Yeah. But he's great. He's great in all three movies. And then again, Michael Fassbender plays him, and he had a very tough act to follow with Ian McKellen, and he's just as good. It feels like the same guy, and the dynamic between him and Patrick Stewart, where one's like, let's work with the humans, one's like, nope, screw the humans. You understand both sides so well, and Magneto's a big part of that. So I got to give it up to him.
Good pick.
Thank you.
My number 9 is Lotso the Bear.
One of my honorable mentions. Yes.
Lotso.
Again, like you said, broken.
Yeah, a broken character. I think what put him on this list for me is that in all the Toy Story movies, there's this fear from the toys of what happens if they're left behind and forgotten, and it never really happens to like the main characters, but it does happen a lot. So, and you see how it can really like take a toll on a character, where he just decided, toys owners don't really, they're just expendable to owners, they're not really as loved as other toys think they are. And Lotso, he's a dictator,
pretty much.
But it's also cool because he's this really pretty scary character but he's in the form of a pink huggable bear that's scented like strawberries.
Yeah.
And he's a true menace.
Yeah, and I think they also do a really good job at the start of when you see it's just a facade, because you meet him and he's friendly, and he's likable, and you think he's just a character. And then they slowly show, like, oh, he's literally a fascist.
Yeah. And he really steers the ship well.
Yeah, well, the way he likes it, he steers the ship.
That's what I mean. Like, he has everything under his control.
Yeah, but that's such a good point, how he's like a scary character. And like when he gets mad, you're on your toes. He's literally a teddy bear.
Yeah,
That's literally what you're looking at. The writing is so good for him. Mm-hmm. And he seems like a real threat.
Yeah.
And I would have never thought that, like the Toy Story movies never had to have great villains. Sid, Stinky Pete, Lotso, Hug and Bear, all great.
And he like uses the humans to his advantage. Like he uses like the infant kids to like punish the toys. Like you get thrown into like the younger group, you know?
Yeah, the younger room where you get treated like shit. Yeah.
Yeah, which I thought was like kind of cool. Like he almost like mastered his world.
Like you said, he's running things. He knows what's up. And we move on to my number 8, which this one I was debating on because it's a different kind of movie, and I put Michael Myers here because a horror movie, it's kind of like, it's not really like, oh, there's a hero. It's just somebody.
Yeah,
it's a protagonist. It's not like they're this great character, and that's what Laurie Strode is in the first Halloween and the second one, which is what I'm basing off my pick of Michael Myers of, where the villain is like most of the movie.
Yeah.
And with horror, I mean, that's the whole house is built on who your bad guy is. And I think Michael Myers is the best slasher that we've ever gotten, where you just know he's a guy who, like, he killed his sister when he was a kid. He's institutionalized. He comes out, and you just know he's completely, completely broken. Like, has he always been a sociopath, or did it just happen to him when he was in the clink? Who knows? But we know he's broken, and the look is a perfect horror look.
Yeah.
He's just had this creepy white mask, and he's in it was like a trucker's jumpsuit that he wears. Because just having no eyes is just, he's terrifying to look at. And not only is it the look, but just the actor who, I forget his name, but the guy who was just in the jumpsuit and the mask, his movements, they make him like just otherworldly. When you can't see any emotion at all, they make him seem like a robot. To tease my next selection.
Okay.
He just seems like something you can't reason with, and like there's just no stopping him.
Right.
And he does like an Undertaker sit-up at one point, like he's just going to keep going.
And he is unstoppable.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got to go Michael Myers on that number 8 there.
Nice. I agree with that pick, even though I have issues with the Halloween movie.
Yeah, you don't love the movie, but he's scary though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My number 8. Los Poirot Hermanos Gustavo Fring.
I come to contemplate putting Gus on there.
Was he in your honorable mentions?
No, but he did cross my mind. No! I just must not have. I must not have written it
when
down.
You have like 20 honorable mentions, you might as well just put him in there. But
sorry.
Gustavo. I mean, what can I say that isn't already said? He gets a lot of attention these days, and I mean, for someone who, again, a bit of a broken guy, not really, but to some extent, because he was still doing bad stuff before he became like a broken character. But when you have someone who is as menacing enough to the viewer as Walter White is, and then you have someone that like really like puts Walter in his place, like the viewer is just kind of like, they don't know what to do with themselves, you know? Like when I see Gus, I'm like, I'm a little scared. But also there's like those moments where he's talking to Lyle in the restaurant, and he's like you know, helpful and sweet and kind. He like helps him with things, but also you know how he is, and you have that idea in your head of who he really is, and it's still scary in those scenes where he's trying to be a nice guy. And in Better Call Saul, it also plays off those things. And Gus.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with his Mandalorian role.
Oh, Moff Gideon?
Moff Gideon.
No, Mikey. There we go. I was about to ask you, can you show me how Moff Gideon perished in the Mandalorian Season 3 finale?
Oh my god. People don't talk about that thing enough.
No, not at all. We're the only people who bring it up. How they show him standing there, and then the flames come and he goes, "Ah!"
Oh, Jesus. Oh,
but with
funny.
Gus, I remember the first time I watched Breaking Bad, I was a little surprised because people like hyped up Gus. They were like, "Oh, Gus is one of the best villains."
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, he was. But like he's in like season 3 and 4, and then he dies in the season 4 finale. Like the first like 10 episodes of the end, he's just working with them.
Yeah.
Like there's no indication that he's a villain.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember things almost, I don't want to say they turn too quickly, but like they turn around like pretty fast where it's like, oh, this dude's like, he has all the power now and he's using it over them.
Yeah.
Which was just a little surprising when I saw him. But like you said, Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, obviously complement each other. And in both shows, he's a fantastic, fantastic villain.
Yes, sir.
So I got to give it up now. Number 7, siete. I have a robot, as I teased. I have the T-800, the Terminator, from 1984's The Terminator.
Oh, you have Arnold.
Arnold, yeah.
Okay.
Now, this is the embodiment of, like what I said. You can't reason with it. Yeah. It's literally just a machine who has a goal, and he's going to seek that goal until it's accomplished, because that's the only thing it's programmed to do.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most effective things about it is, obviously, casting Arnold was perfect. Mm-hmm. He's a 6'2" mammoth of a man who is scary if he was just a human who you could reason with.
Right.
But then you take it to the point of where very late in the movie, they like crush him. They like take half an arm off. They take all the skin off of him, but he's still just a robot skeleton running after.
Mm-hmm.
So they do a very good job at showing that there's basically no escape. Like, he's borderline unstoppable to stop.
Right.
So that's why whenever he has to be killed, it's always in a very almost kind of bizarre scenario or a very strange setting that allows the robot to be destroyed in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I really wish Arnold, he obviously became such a big movie star, but I wish he got to play more villains because he's obviously so good in this movie.
Yeah. Does it also help that he's playing a robot where he doesn't have to give the best of his acting ability?
I think so. I think for sure. But that's why I was upset. I remember when, because like he would have been a great Mr. Freeze in a different movie.
He would have, yeah, that's true.
Because we know how good a villain he can play.
Mm-hmm.
So, probably Arnold's most famous role. Obviously, like you said, he doesn't have to do a lot of acting, but he plays a robot very well.
I think
you feel like he's menacing.
Play a good Bane.
Ooh, if they made like an 80s Batman, he would have been a really good Bane.
Yeah, and like with that,
and you buy his intellect too.
Yeah, exactly. You write him smart, he can pull it off.
Yeah, because I do think he's a genuinely bright guy.
Yeah. Oh yes, so, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I got to get
smart,
up
man.
to T-800. Yeah, my sophomore year chemistry teacher looked up to Arnold Schwarzenegger. He had a poster of him in the classroom, and he once gave us a speech. He was like, "Dedication, just like Arnold. That guy's had 3 different careers."
Yeah, Arnold is the man, I have to say. I have one of his books, and he's a great writer.
I'm not surprised. He's so talented.
Yeah, he really is.
He's a multi-talented fella.
God bless Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes. Now, what do you got for your number 6, Mikey?
My number 7.
Oh, 7. Excuse me. That's right.
You're excused. I have my favorite Breaking Bad Better Call Saul universe villain, and that is the M of HHM, Chuck McGill.
Wow.
I think what makes
you went there.
I think what makes Chuck so good compared to the other villains like Lalo and Gus is because he's not in the drug cartel. You know, the viewer is only like trained to be threatened by those in the drug cartel. But once you get into like this lawyer stuff, you find out how like kind of manipulative and cold Chuck can be. He's just a very like compelling character with what he's done to Jimmy. How you can consider him the origin of Saul Goodman. And I think like in the first season you think he's gonna be a friend in the story where he like tries to help Jimmy first with his case that he finds with Sandpiper, I think, something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
But then you find out that he really just doesn't approve of what Jimmy, not even what Jimmy's doing, but just Jimmy being this like a lawyer just as he is. Like he thinks he doesn't belong, and he wants to make sure that he knows this, and that this is all a mistake, and he thinks that Jimmy will never be any better than a slipping Jimmy. And he will go tooth and nail to make sure Jimmy doesn't get ahead in some way.
Yes, and you won't be able to back me on this, but the villains of real life are lawyers. I must throw out there.
I will also. Oh, maybe I shouldn't.
Maybe you shouldn't. That's why I prefaced it. But yeah, Chuck's a fantastic character, and yes, you could throw him in the villain category of he's a pretty bad guy.
Yeah, and
having him be it could just be a real world scenario. Like this could happen. This person could exist in anyone's family.
Mm-hmm.
That it just a great contrast between the cartel stuff.
I think a few of my entries here are more so antagonists than villains, but none of them are good people.
Yeah, when the lines are blurred, it's usually a better character.
Right.
So yeah, my number 6, I'm keeping it in the Terminator family. The T-1000
Okay.
is the superior villain than the T-800 because, like I said, Arnold's physicality obviously is huge, but the fact it's just kind of a Weasley little cop, like at least that's what he looks like, is a Weasley little cop, like is almost scarier. And he's just so cold. There's nothing behind the eyes. He plays a robot so well. And even more than the T-800, because the T-800, he gets crushed. Like, that's how he dies. That's how he perishes. The T-1000, you're watching the whole movie. And because it's liquid metal, and he morphs and he explodes and comes back together, the whole movie you're thinking, I have no idea how they're going to defeat this guy. And he transforms to others, and which... a bit like Mystique in the X-Men. You have to give credit to the other actors who are playing the shapeshifter, and they all play him so well. I mean, he's terrifying, and he moves so well. It's a great performance. And like I said, they always have to go to like strange settings to kill the villain. They go to like this, I think, like welding place, and he falls in like a vat of lava. That's the only way they can figure out to kill him. He's a fantastic, fantastic villain. And Terminator 2 is one of the best movies, one of the best action movies ever made.
I've never seen the Terminators.
I think you'd like the first one.
Yeah.
T2 you'd really like.
I think I'll like them. I just never got around to. I mean, obviously, it's such a pop culture phenomenon that I know what's going on. But yeah, I do prefer the 1000 over the 800.
Yeah,
because I like how they go. Same like how we said about Die Hard and John McClane. It's just guys.
They just look like dudes.
Threats.
Yeah, and also pioneered a lot of great effects.
Right.
Like all those effects are from '91, and they still hold up great.
Yeah, I could picture what's going on. I've seen a few scenes.
So now, Mikey, what do you got at that number 6?
The Joker.
Oh, okay.
I'll keep low, maybe.
I'll keep my lips sealed.
Okay, yeah, I figured that much, but I'm not gonna say much, man. What can I really say here? That's my number 6 or 5, 6.
No, that's your 6.
That's my number 6. So go
right.
ahead.
My number 5. My number 5. I got Thanos.
Okay, yeah, I have him a little higher up there.
He's in there. Okay, yeah. He's not necessarily broken, but you understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
Because I mean, a lot of people said they watched the movie and they were like, he's making a lot of sense here. Like the sacrifice few for the many kind of stuff, and think of a long-term plan. Like a lot of the stuff he was throwing out there, like if you sit back and you're like, okay, I can, like, you can definitely understand why he's doing it. That doesn't justify it though,
right?
Which is what makes him a great villain.
Yeah,
we get him in 2 movies. Well, he gets. It's amazing how, I mean, he got first teased in 2012 in the Avengers. He shows up like one scene in Guardians, teased at the end of Age of Ultron.
Yeah,
he gets hyped up for all this time, and he lives up to it.
Yeah, he really does. And
one of the biggest reasons I think for that, and one of the most important things they did was Infinity War is a movie about him.
Right.
Like all the Guardians, the Avengers, they're in it, and they have their funny moments and they have their great action sequences. Thanos is the main character of that movie, though, which was so necessary to really kind of build him up, because they couldn't just be like, oh yeah, you heard about him, here he is. No, we still have to get to know him and what he's about and how he thinks, and you learn his entire philosophy in Infinity War so well. And I think it's the kind of the opposite of what they did with Kang, where they they kept hyping him up, and they're like, oh, look out, Kang's coming. And then at least in Quantumania, he's there, and you're like, I still don't I don't know what he's about still.
Yeah.
He's just a bad dude for reasons completely unexplained. Where Thanos is the complete opposite. Josh Brolin, great performance, and the effect is still gonna hold up for years.
Oh yeah,
because that looks like real skin on the alien.
Yes, it really does. Like what you were saying about Kang, I think they built up to Thanos so well that they really can't recreate it anymore with like Kang, you
Mhm.
know, where it just falls flat because Thanos has done so well. But
Yeah.
yeah, more on that from me later.
Okay. So now we move on to your number 5. Cinco, cinco, cinco.
My number 5, making both lists from villains and characters.
Ooh.
We got the Prince of Darkness, Darth Vader.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'll keep my lips sealed once again.
Okay. Again, like the Joker. What else can I say? You know,
Yeah.
I said stuff. Or the characters list. And everyone.
And your character list was strictly Vader.
Yes.
It was
Again,
not Anakin.
I'm making the distinction. It was just Vader. So I'm not
Yeah.
going to say much again. He's my number 5, guys. That's it. Go ahead.
All right, my number 4. I have Hans Gruber from Die Hard.
I was expecting him to be on there.
Yeah, he's incredibly smart, and it's an incredibly well thought out plan and everything. And you're led to believe like, oh, they're just like terrorists or something. But then it's a great kind of not necessarily like a huge twist, but it's a nice little turn, like 2/3 in the movie where they're just thieves.
Yeah.
They're there to steal the stuff that they have in the vault in Nakatomi Plaza. They don't have like they're not like these ill they don't have like ill intentions to like hurt the world or anything. They're just selfish.
Yeah.
They just want to rob.
Yeah.
So which I always thought was good, where he's like he's so well put together and he's so cold, calm, and collected, and he's so slimy and vile. But like he's still petty at the end of the day.
Right. I'm going to say this, and this is not an insult towards the character. He is a Fast and Furious villain done right, if that makes sense.
Okay, no, yeah, that does make sense.
Okay, yeah. And I think like his voice is just so commanding and menacing, and
Yeah, it's a Brit doing a German accent, so you know you're getting something funky but good.
yeah. And John McClane, he's like a nuisance to him, but when they're like talking on like the radio, he like kind of just sees him as like a little gnat that he needs to like swat, you know?
Yeah, I like how he's like,
Yeah. He
he's
kind of
like,
underestimates him.
yeah, like you said, he's just kind of annoyed at him at first, and then you slowly see him get like more and more ticked off and pissed off, and then he's like, this guy's a fucking problem.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I gotta give it up to Hans Gruber, one of my personal favorite villains of all time. Alan Rickman, God rest his soul. So now we move on to your number 4.
My number 4 is Bane.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
okay.
I think
I like
Bane is Batman's best villain. Like I said, when done right, he is one of the best characters ever. I mean, what really draws me to him over, like, say, Joker, is how much of a true match Bane is for Batman. You know, both trained under Ra's al Ghul. You know, both great in hand-to-hand combat, both intellectual. You know, just
match. He's a match for him.
And this is the one where I could see like Batman. I consider him. I mean, obviously, Joker is Batman's true nemesis, but I could see the argument that Bane could really be, if these, because you know there's gonna be plenty of more Batman stuff to come. If they can really say, okay, we have Heath Ledger Joker, we can't really top that. Let's think of something new. They can turn to Bane and have him be Batman's movie nemesis for whatever new ventures they do, maybe in Battinson or this new Batman that's coming out with DCEU stuff. So,
would you like to see Bane in either of those iterations?
I don't know if he would really fit in the Battinson stuff.
Neither do I. I'm not sure.
But with the new DCU stuff, definitely.
Okay, yeah. I'm excited what they do for that because they know they have to differentiate it, so it's going to be a little, not lighthearted, but I think a little more out there.
Right, yeah.
So now, my number 3, I have Vader. Yeah, there's not much else we could say.
Yeah,
One thing I always liked about it was Palpatine says, like, oh, you are now Darth Vader, before he has the mask on and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, once he, like, right as soon as he turns to the dark side, like, Anakin's gone.
Yeah.
It doesn't come with, like, his disfigurements and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, a perfect look for a villain, which has inspired just the look of villainy for years to come, I feel.
Yes.
James Earl Jones. I mean, what more must we say?
Not much to say.
That isn't much. Your number three?
My number three is Thanos. I
Mm.
think Thanos.
I'm really curious what your top ones are. I don't know what they are.
You're gonna be very surprised. They don't really fit
Okay.
the other
Okay.
people on the list. But
Okay, I'm excited.
so I think Thanos is, Vader is the definition of villains to
Yeah.
our generation. I think Thanos is gonna be that for the new generation.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
I think he is a complete just force. Like you said, like the Avengers, like they can't really stop him. They had to go back in time and face a weaker version of him to
Yeah,
set
more or
things
less.
right. And the buildup is so well done, and his character is so compelling. Where he was like banished for his like beliefs, bad enough as they were, and he really thinks he's right, and he almost like has viewers also thinking he's right,
Yeah, a
which
lot
is
of people
kind of
do.
crazy. Um, and very well done. And I like how after Infinity War, when they go see him at the farm, he's like, "Dude, like I don't have problems with you guys anymore. Like I did what I needed
Yeah,
to do. Like I'm done. Like I'm
that's what.
not gonna keep
Yeah,
fighting you."
yeah, that's what I want to say. Like, he's a bad guy, but like he's not crazy. He's not mad. Where he's like
Yeah.
he can't stop. He's like always chasing something. No, like he does what he wants to do, and he's like, all right, I'm good. I'm
He's like,
going
"Yeah,
home.
I did what I needed to do. It wasn't anything personal."
Which really humanizes
Yeah.
him.
Great
So yeah,
villain.
Thanos was there for a reason. That was your number three, correct?
Yeah.
My number two was in your honorable mentions, and I thought this character was going to be on your list. This very nearly my number one. I had Nurse Ratched.
I was really gonna put her on there.
She is the worst.
Yeah.
And it's not like, oh, she's an annoying character. She's a great character. She thinks she's right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just every turn she does something she doesn't have to. She's allowed to, though.
Mm-hmm.
She has this power, but she abuses it. Abuses it to the point she'd get in trouble? No, but she still abuses it over them.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is so hateable and so cold. She shows like Vader shows more emotion than her. She is so cold. She has nothing behind her eyes.
Yeah.
And the most frustrating one I think is when they all vote to watch the World Series game, and then Chief only puts his hand up after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says like, "Oh, the vote has been closed." It's like this imaginary vote you came up with
Yeah.
is now closed only in your head, and just all little things like that because she treats them all like kids.
Mm-hmm. And like,
And she's the absolute worst.
she's very dehumanizing to them, while McMurphy is. It looks to reverse that fact. Like, these guys got to live a little bit and have some.
Because he's the spokesman.
Yeah. I really should have put her on here. I don't know why I didn't, because One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is my favorite book and my top three movies, I think. I can't really say much. I think you highlighted her pretty well. She's a menace, and she's just so cold, and you can't really like. She doesn't even seem human.
Yeah, but like, there's a lot of other great villains, but like someone like Nurse Ratched like exists in our world though too.
Yeah,
like we've met people, maybe not to her extent, but like we know people on that spectrum of Ratchet.
Yeah,
which makes her even scarier. So. Yeah, I gotta have her at number two. But now we move on to your dose.
My dose is Ralph Cifaretto.
Wow,
Yeah.
Ralphie, really?
Yeah. I think he is. So Ralph Cifaretto from The Sopranos. I think he is so enjoyable as just a character.
Yeah,
he's always making jokes and stuff, but he is for Tony Soprano. Tony Soprano solves basically every problem that's thrown at him, no matter what he does. So he's just a force. Ralphie is the only thing in this entire show that gets under his skin so much and is just a complete just nuisance and a problem to him, where you got to give it up to the guy. I mean, like I said, like Tony Soprano is a bad guy, but they make badder people to make Tony Soprano look like more of a protagonist. And Ralphie is Ralphie is still so enjoyable, He's so funny. But he also does some of the worst things in the show. What he does to one of the strippers that was pregnant with his baby and stuff like that.
Mm.
And Pi Oh My was the breaking point
Yeah.
for Tony, you know. And he might be like probably one of my favorite characters in the show. And he just plays a villain so well, where like you just hate the guy.
Was he the one who, like, Tony walks into Genesis' house and he picks up Ralph's shoe?
Yes.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Mm-hmm. And Janice pushes him down the stairs, and he on my back. Ralphie's just so enjoyable.
And I mean, it's obviously put on, but he also just has that voice of just someone you just want to kill.
Yeah, he's just so annoying, dude. So annoying.
But like you said, they do a good job of, like, there's a reason why he's there. There's a reason why he's, like, involved.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like that pick for number 2. I like that pick a lot. It gets me even more excited for your number 1. But first, I gotta throw my number 1 out there. He was on my top 10 fictional characters list, so no surprises here. It's the Joker. I mean, like you said, what more can I say about the Joker? Great different iterations. Mark Hamill's our favorite. I'm excited what Mr. Keown has for us in store, but
I hope nothing.
I'm honestly kind of pessimistic about it.
Yeah.
I don't like that look. I just don't need another Joker.
No.
And Paul Dano's Riddler was already very Joker-ish, so it feels like it'd be just stepping on each other's toes. But anyway, Joker, one of the best characters ever. Great villain because, again, he's crazy. You're not going to reason with him, but he has resources and everything, so I got to go with him. Pure anarchy. Now we move on to Magoo's Uno. What are we looking at here?
My number 1 is Fletcher from Whiplash.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
This is a very important character to me, because I felt a lot of what Neiman feels throughout the movie, where you know, Fletcher is very abusive and loud and, you know, just manipulative in so many ways, and but Neiman still wants his approval. Like, he wants him to see that he's a great drummer and stuff like that, and he like feeds off of it when you actually do see those like moments of him kind of liking Neiman, and they play off each other so well, and so the characters played so well by J.K. Simmons that every time I see J.K. Simmons from after seeing this movie, like I kind of like had that feeling of like, oh my, like Fletcher, like just angry guy that you need to be approved of, that he needs to prove of you, you know.
I'm kind of the same. I get that, where I can't really view him in another way, but it's that tension where it's like he's technically doing his job, but obviously the methods are unorthodox and extreme. But you still always, even if you were in that position of Neiman, you almost admire him for what he's doing, and you kind of can't help but be attracted to his methods and who he is as a person because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that pick. It's a fascinating number 1 pick.
Thank you.
Is there any other? I don't know if there's any. I don't know if Damien's had any other villains in his movies.
No, not really.
La La Land, there isn't really any villain.
Tobey Maguire and
oh
Babylon.
yeah, that's my new number 1. Tobey Maguire's character in Babylon.
I like it.
So villains, like we said, some of the most fascinating characters in all of fiction. We love to hate them. Sometimes we just love them, even though we know they're bad people.
Yeah.
They'll shoot you dead in the street, and they'll put you in the hearse. And this has been the Brinx Truck and Hearse podcast. My name has been Ryan McNeil.
Michael Frieri.
And we wish you a Heidi.
Ho!